태권도! 기본 동작.
Basic movements. Patterns.
틀.
Sparring.
맞서기.
Training.
단련.
Self-defense.
보신술.
Taekwondo is an art of defending oneself by using feet and hands without weapon. It is a popular exercise which helps develop one's physical body in a well-balanced manner and promote one's health. This videotape shows the wonderful strength, high techniques, and noble idea of Taekwondo to you who love justice and truth. The man coming with trainees is John Dae-young, 6th grade instructor of International Taekwondo Federation. He will coach the trainees now. The instructor has stopped because the trainee's dressing is not desirable. You are undergoing training. Your zeal is high, but you know little about the practice suit. This new practice suit was introduced by the International Taekwondo Federation in 1982. It was designed to suit the sentiments of the present times, retaining national traditions. The practice suit increases the pride of Taekwondo players and promotes their external grace. When a taekwondoist wears the suit, he becomes modest and his zeal rises. Superfluous frills, piping, lettering, and designs are impermissible on the practice suit. The practice suit shows the degree of skill and cultural attainments of players. The badge of Taekwondo is shown on the front of practice suit. ITF is the abbreviation of the International Taekwondo Federation. The side is cloven for free movement. The logo drawn on the back symbolizes an evergreen pine. The screen shows the identification of the titles. The degrees are divided from the first degree to the ninth. Those with the first degree to the third are called assistant instructors. Those with the fourth degree to the sixth, instructors. Those with the seventh and the eighth degree, masters, and the ninth degree holder, grand masters. These fresh trainees seem to train and promote for themselves. I'm sorry to say, but such grace cannot be recognized. Grades are tested and awarded by an international instructor with a fourth degree and above. The instructor must report the testing and awarding to the International Taekwondo Federation and take responsibilities for them. This is a testing paper. This is a grade certificate. Double grade promotion is possible according to the test result. Let's learn techniques for the 7th and the 6th graders with these trainees. First, let's study the movements for the 7th grade. Trainees must master pattern Tosan and two-step sparring. This is pattern Tosan. Before learning the movements, we must know the following things. Pattern Tosan is performed along this diagram. It consists of 24 movements and ready posture is parallel ready stance. Correct execution with correct posture and power control are important in pattern learning. Some movements are strange, aren't they? Yes, they are new movements of the pattern. Now let's have a better look into the new movements.
This is a movement for checking the opponent's attack from the flank. The elbows should not be pushed outwards. Turn the body and arms strongly. Placing the back of a hand under the thrusting elbow is not intended to support the attacking arm, but to defend with the palm. The fingertips must thrust from up to down in the feeling of straight stabbing. This is fingertips, an attacking tool. Fingertips are a tool peculiar to Taekwondo. The fingers should be close together. The thumb must be bent. We can use vertical fingertips, flat fingertips, and upset fingertips. This movement is to release from a grab. When the wrist is grabbed, turn the hand vigorously and push forward simultaneously. This movement is primarily used for attacking the opponent's tempo. Keep the forearms crossed in front of the chest after the arms are bent slightly. After striking, the striking fist has to be brought back about 10 centimeters. This is the back fist. The main knuckles of the forefinger and middle finger are the parts used. When defending, turn the forearms vigorously and the elbows have not to be opened outward. When defending, the fist reaches the eye level and the forearms have not to be pushed forward excessively. Knife hand should not be formed at the beginning, otherwise all muscles are tensed. When striking, turn the head quickly. The feature of this kick is to kick straight downward after raising the foot in a semicircular line. Keep the upper part of the body straight after bending forward at the kicking moment. The purposes of hooking kick are to attack the target with the heel of the foot and hook the opponent who moves forward during the kicking. When kicking, hook the opponent with the heel and bend the knee simultaneously. Bring the heel close to the body and lay it on the floor. This is the heel widely used for attacking. The knee of the kicking leg must be brought sharply toward the chest. Turn and kick simultaneously with the hands brought close to the chest. Turn and kick simultaneously with the hands brought close to the chest. Turn the head quickly and see the target and kick it. The kicking foot must be withdrawn immediately after the kick.
Remembering the learned movements, let us see the pattern again. Look at the crossed parts of fists and forearms. As pattern is a combination of movements made according to reason and meaning, the connecting of movements should be mastered in pattern. Are you sure? I think the trainee can perform the pattern confidently. The zeal of the instructor and the trainee is very good. They are learning movements even in the seashore. This is one of the characteristics of Taekwondoists. Seeing the acts of trainees, let's practice the movements which may be performed wrongly. This is Dosan mess pattern. I think the trainees are qualified to learn two-step sparring.
Two-step sparring is basic sparring for the 7th grade. The cry "ya" before beginning the movements is a signal of the readiness. Two-step sparring is like three-step sparring, but elasticity is required.
When the above-mentioned movements are mastered, the 7th grade is granted. Now, how are the above-mentioned used? Let us see them in confrontation. the learned movements are being used most adequately. Taekwondo is a weapon of justice and self-defense. Sightseers are climbing up mountains to enjoy natural beauty. The trainees are climbing too. Their climbing is not for having rest, but for nourishing the love for the fatherland and training their will. Climbing, of course, must be included in the training schedule. Now, let's see the training for the 6th grade. The trainees learn pattern one-hyo and one-step spurring. Just a moment. Pattern 1 here is performed along this diagram. It consists of 28 movements and ready posture is close ready stance A. It can be said that pattern is the basis that measures every technique in training and Taekwondo matches. So pattern is important in Taekwondo training. You should try to learn correct patterns. Let's see new movements.
This is a close stance. Keep the legs straight with the feet together. Lay the left hand on the middle joint of the fingers of the loose right fist. The fist reaches the philtrum level. When striking, the other fist must be brought to the chest of the attacking side. Fixed stance is an effective stance for attack and defense. The body weight is laid on both legs evenly, and the distance between the big toes is about 1.5 shoulder wide. When the left foot advances, the stance is called a left fixed stance and vice versa. This movement is a useful stance for attack and defense. Open the feet as wide as shoulders. Like one leg stance, bring the sole of the foot of the bent leg to the inner knee joint of the other leg. Bend 2 knees and open slightly. This stance serves as a preparatory stance for frontal and rear kicks. Bent ready stance consists in actions A and B. This is used to check attack of hand and foot. The defending tool should brought up to the target in a large circular motion. The shoulder should be a little lower than the opposite one. The hands should be ready to protect the whole body from the attack. Shape kick is frequently used in attacking and intimidating the opponent. When kicking, the heel of the foot on the ground is lifted a little. Keep the kicking leg straight and raise as high as possible. The foot goes up and reaches the target straight. The purpose of this movement is to attack a target with the heel and hook the opponent who comes in during the kicking. During the kick, bend the kicking leg properly and watch the target.
As you know, every pattern consists of learned movements and new movements. Therefore, the more patterns you learn, the more new movements you master. That is why everyone must learn 24 patterns in proper order. Let's see the movements of the trainees. Teaching of the instructor is exact. The kicking is not good because flexibility is wanted. This is a sin of the International Rhythmic Gymnastic Games. As the flexibility of the legs is good, the movements are very graceful. Flexibility is necessary not only for the gymnastic movements of the girls. In gymnastics, flexibility is necessary for beautiful movements, but in Taekwondo, it is necessary to protect life. This man is not a gymnast, but a middle-aged Taekwondo instructor. Taekwondo makes middle-aged men and women as flexible as girls in their 20s. The trainees are enthusiastic. If they train themselves like this, they can acquire both the act of self-defense and youth. Now let's see the mass pattern one here. In order to become the 6th grade holder, pattern 1 here and 1 step sparring have to be mastered.
One-step sparring is considered most important, as the ultimate goal of Taekwondo is to defeat the opponent with a single blow. The secret of one-step sparring is to deliver a decisive blow at the opponent's vital spot at the right time with the right weapon, while defending oneself from the opponent's attack effectively. It is advisable for the trainees to apply all techniques under various conditions.
When the above-mentioned movements are mastered, the 6th grade is granted. The trainees are performing pattern 1 here with confidence. I think the 6th grade may be awarded to the trainees. It is decided only by the instructor. Finishing today's training, the instructor is emphasizing something with an encyclopedia open before him. He seems reaching referential points. Let's see them through screens.
This is the measuring method in 3-step sparring. Let's see how correct distance is measured in various 3-step sparring. They say that quite a few instructors fail to understand the importance of the distance between 2 trainees and stand 2 trainees at an improper distance in the training halls. Every instructor and trainee must keep a right distance between the 2 so that trainees do not have bad habits in movement.
Today we have learned the pattern toss and pattern warrior and sparring for 6th and 7th grades. But we must continue our training to reach the instructor's standard. How are the learned techniques used in our life? Let's go to a parking place in a city. Taekwondo is on the side of justice and truth. This trainee had his hand wounded. He has not mastered the techniques yet. The next reel of film will show you more techniques. Thank you.
일내고 불편한 사람들 몇 천만인가 남녀로서 모두가 어디서나 배우고 있네
착한 마음 열심히 걸으다가 전화물 얻고 한 살을 모조리 징벌하려 정의를 찾네
어대륙의
The technical test for this videotape is earnestly progressed under the supervision of the International Taekwondo Federation. Through this chance, you can take the certitude about technical contents of this videotape, because this videotape will be favorite of you Taekwondo fans. Now, a lot of Taekwondo trainees and fans want to know about the methods and skills of movements of 24 patterns. I'm sure this video will comply with the trainee's request by giving a better illustration of the patterns of each grade and degree. Now let's learn patterns in order with our trainees. Pattern Yulgok is for the 5th and higher grades. The 38 movements of this pattern are performed along this diagram. This pattern begins with a parallel ready stance. This is pattern Yulgok. Yulgok is the pseudonym of a philosopher and scholar E.E. The 38 movements of this pattern indicate his birthplace on 38-degree latitude, and the diagram represents scholar. New movements of this pattern are following.
This technique is used to check 2 attackers simultaneously. When crossing, the 2 back fists must be downwards. When blocking, the side block knife hand must be leveled with the shoulder. When blocking, the palm must reach the opponent, drawing a semicircle. And it must be leveled with the shoulder. The palm is a blocking tool. The fingers must be bent a little to give strength to the palm. When an elbow is used for striking, it must be shielded with the palm of the other hand. When striking, the 2 arms must be bent at a right angle. The using part is the elbow, the projecting part formed from the bent in arm. The elbows are classified according to the purpose of the use, namely back elbow, front elbow, side elbow, straight elbow, and so on. X stance is convenient to rush and attack a remote opponent. When one takes X stance, the tip toes must be crossed at the front or rear of the standing foot, slightly touching the ground, and the bodily weight must be put on the standing leg. Taking X stance in a mood of jumping, one must perform the striking movement. Knees should be bent and the body be erect. When the inner forearm block, the blocking forearm must be twisted inward, and the other wrist must also be twisted until the second knuckle of its little finger touches the joint of the blocking elbow.
When the above-mentioned movements are mastered, pattern Yulga can be performed satisfactorily. Let's see the beginner's training, reviewing the movements we've learned. When trainees sit for the listening to the instructor in training, they must sit around the instructor to call a person's attention to instructor. Look at the movement closely. There is difference in the movement as compared with the patterns 1. Though the palm shields the attacking elbow in order to raise the effectiveness of the training movement against an imaginary opponent through this pattern, the underfist of the striking arm should be pulled by the opposite palm when in practice. In order to know well about the aim of every movement and practice correctly, the beginners must be coached by instructors. Let's see pattern Yulga containing learned movements. Look at the first movement. The pattern is the left fist stretch, not a left fist punch. The pattern has such stretching movements which are designed not to attack but to link one movement with another. Let's ask the president to teach the pattern Yulgok.
For convenience of trainees, we'll translate the explanation of Mr. President. You must perform this way, like this. Understand? This is mistaken. This is mistaken too. This is right. You are right. The node sticked. To make a sine wave, the body must rise at moments when the feet are sticked. Like this. This is a sine wave.
If you do like this, it's wrong.
This kicking is too high. Like this. Kicking is sent correctly. It's wrong. The trainees must perform every movement correctly. Like this. This motion is right.
It's hand pressing on the rival's hand, like this. If he begs your pardon, let him alone. But he doesn't. Give him his due. Don't attack at any time. Here is some problems. You may be heated, so be careful.
Two block to inside is inside block. Two block to outside is outside block, like this. In this case, inside block, every trainee has to be cushion. But when it is outside block, the cushion is not necessary. Then opponent is driving to corner, thus you have to perform outside block.
물론 안 맞게도 할 수도 있다. 안 맞게도 할 수도 있다.
This action must be full body. It should be opposite blocking.
This is your question.
When you wait on the left foot, the left extence is being shaped like this. It's wrong.
Like this. This movement is always performed like this. Like this. Like this. You must like this. The force of the sine wave is gone. This movement is performed this way subtly. This is a mistake.
이렇게 돼야 된다는 게.
You must like this. It means nothing. Like this, like this, like this. It's also same. Now the blocking is imperfect. When you do like this, opponent is driving to corner. In this case, opponent attaching you, so this is side block.
I'm sure you have learned the pattern in detail. Let's go over to the pattern Chungun after looking at the collective pattern Yulguk of the trainees. The beginners are training themselves before learning the new pattern. We can't apply this pattern correctly if we do not cultivate strength. Let's see the pattern Chungun of these trainees. Look at the trainee at the right hand. His movement looks like dancing. Rhythm. Yes, needless to say, the martial arts require rhythms. Look. Rhythms are used properly in sports too. Rhythms beautify all movements of underwater art which win applause. Rhythms are also necessary in the patterns of Taekwondo because rhythms guarantee the sine wave of the movements. The necessary rhythms, however, must serve the purposes of every movement. Making reference to these points, let's learn pattern Chungun. Pattern Chungun is practiced by the beginners at the 4th grade and above. The 32 movements of this pattern are performed along this diagram. The ready posture is close ready stance B. Taekwondo makes it possible for a man with light weight to perform heavy action and vice versa by mixing light and heavy movements and nimble and slow ones and apply foot technique. We, with this in mind, must correctly link one movement with another. Let's study new movements of this pattern.
Close ready stand B is the posture with 2 arms stuck and 2 fists upset. The distance between the fist and the umbilicus is about 15 centimeters. When this movement is practiced, fists must be crossed so that the backs of 2 hands are turned upward when blocking. When blocking, the little finger must be leveled with the shoulders. The blocking tool is the reverse knife hand, which is the same with making the knife hand, but the thumb must be tightly bent towards the palm. This stance is used to lay the bodily weight on the rear leg. The knee of the rear leg should be lightly bent in. The space between two little toes must be 1 shoulder width. The blocking tool must touch the object, drawing a circle. When this movement is practiced, the blocking tool must be at the height of the solar plexus. This technique is used to attack the point of the chin of the opponent. At this time, the back fist must face upward. When punched, the elbow must be lined with the shoulders, and 2 fists be at the height of the philtrum. The fist must touch the opponent, drawing a circle. When punched, the downward back fist must be leveled with the elbow joint. When X fist is used to block, it must be on the center of the forehead. When striking, the 2 fists must be crossed to keep the palm downward, and the striking hand must be beneath the other. This punch is designed to attack the nearby opponent. When punching, the fist must be ahead of the tiptoe. This movement is used to block the foot of the attacking opponent. When the palm of a hand blocks down, the palm of the other hand must block upward. The upward blocking hand from the thigh must cross at the height of the navel with a pressing blocking hand from the breast. This is used to thrust an opponent to the side of front. When this movement is practiced, the fist must be stopped in front of the opposite breast. This is used to block the attacking stick by the arc hand. When blocking, the down elbow must be stuck to the waist, and the upper body must slightly lean in the direction of blocking, the 2 hands being at right angles to the ground. The blocking tool is the arc hand. It is applicable to the space between the second knuckle of the forefinger and the thumb.
Above-mentioned movements are new movements of pattern Chungun. Let's practice learned movements with these trainees. The intersection part of two forearms is too high. The hand and the foot have to be moved at the same time. The fist must be leveled with the shoulder at a punch. The hands and the foot must be laid at the same line. Continuously, let's see the individual pattern Chungun with a diagram. Chungun is the name of Korean An Jung-gun, who shot Ito Hirobumi, the first Japanese Governor-General of Korea, to death at Harbin Station, who played a leading role in Korea-Japan annexation. The 32 movements of this pattern means the age of An Jung-gun when he was executed in Lushan prison. The name of patterns, the number of the movements, and the diagram symbol the historic figures and the facts of the corresponding times. Now let's listen to the additional explanation about pattern Jung-gun from the Mr. President Choi Hee. For convenience of trainees, we'll translate the explanation of Mr. President.
Now, let's learn in more details. Look at exercise Mr. Choi Hee is showing. 15 degrees, 25 degrees. Perform like this. Hand, foot, eyes, breath must be same. Like this. It's wrong. Like this. Hand and foot should be moved at the same time. So you must turn this way. It's wrong. Like this. Don't scratch. When the hand is rising to here, this is right. Sine wave. The foot must be pulled and moved toward. In this case here, look at the movement. Like this. The position of the fist is here in this movement. This is a problem. Look at here. Rising blocking, pressing blocking, like this. Input blocking, like this. Down blocking, perform like this. Everyone is unlike. Less down. This is enough. It is not enough to rising then high. When they are too high, your face will attack from opponent. Perform like this. You must keep your full body. So don't waste your body. You must do like this. Don't twist your body. Go out like this. You must do like this. Once more. Lift up your foot little, and this fist should be higher than other. In this case, you can't block. This is blocking, I mean. In front foot must be forward, but don't move your back foot. Like this. Look at it carefully, like this.
Today, we've learned very important things in Taekwondo training. I'm sure you can perform learned patterns. Now, the trainee has forgotten the movements. Remembering the movements, practice the pattern training sincerely. Thank you.